Interested in then is within Blackboard's sharing with you how you can use tools specifically. And so I'm going to show you how to set up a blog and how to set up a wiki in Blackboard. And so these are cases where you want your students to use a blogging tool or a wiki tool, but you aren't interested in this idea of it being out in a public space. Okay? So with the blog tool, you have on your sheet these same directions, and I'm just going to walk through you with them. If you wanted to be in a course and setting this up, fine. I think that you can probably see what I'm doing here and see how it works. I've made you actually students in my class, so you can actually participate. If you go into Blackboard, you can participate in these blogs and wikis that I show you. So I'm going to Blackboard now. And I'm going to go, the class is called Blackboard Blogs and Wikis. So you should see yourself enrolled in that class. And I've made it so that there's an announcement there just welcoming you and explaining some of the resources. And then while you're in there, if you go to the content page, you'll begin to see some of the content. So I'm going to first just show you how these would work from the student view. So you should, while you're in this course, I've created two wikis here, or excuse me, two blogs. You see this little icon. The tool that we're using is from Learning Objects, which works within Blackboard. But this is the Learning Objects blog icon, and then this is the wiki icon. So I have two blogs and a wiki. And so for the very first one, I'm asking you the question, why did you decide to attend this workshop today? Create a new post and share at least one reason why you came. And I'm telling you that all participants in the class can see what you post. So if you go ahead and click View on that one, and it'll take a little while. Yours might not have come up quite as quick. It might be still. Once you're at this particular point then, as a student, are you seeing across the top, subscribe, export, settings? Are you seeing all that? Okay, so the four things you're seeing on your menu are print, help, subscribe, and export. And so the instructor only is able to change the settings, permission, add widgets, assessments, and everything. We won't talk about all of these things, but just so you know, your view is different than what the students see. And so what I'd like you to do is click on this Add New Entry. And the title of it pops up right away and lists the date as the title. I would encourage you to tell your students to give a descriptive heading for their blog post. And think of it in terms of a newspaper article, something that's going to invite people to read your post. If you can help them think through that, that will be good. So let's all just write a blog post now. Okay, so you should see, as you're writing, you should see a tool set that you could use where you could actually import content from Word. You could add a video clip if you wanted to, if you had a YouTube video. You can add an image to it. I mean, there's a number of things you can do to experiment, to play around with it. Once you've written your post, and you'd want to have a rubric, something that would help guide them of what a good blog post is, which we'll talk about in a second here. And then when you're finished, if they're finished writing this post, they can save and exit. If they just want to save and keep working on it, they can click Save. They can come back and edit it later even if they save and exit. Okay. And make sure you save and exit when you've finished yours. And I'm just going to refresh this. I don't think there's a refresh on the page. So I'm just going to go back to this content area and click on View again. Typically, we're not looking at, all blogging in the same class at the same time. So when I would come to this, I would just see the newest post. This is the latest post that has been put in. So Erla put this one in, and she's explaining why she had come to this. So she's looking at some different ideas for group work. We see my post next, where I really came for the food, and Bianca came to get some information to know what she should do in terms of things like why to use a wiki. Okay? And so for each of these, we could have also built in a requirement that had students comment on them. So we've got these posts, and there may have been something that said, okay, now I want you to comment on another student's post. Or as the instructor, you may just be giving each person a little bit of feedback. Now remember, everyone can see this right now. So when you click View Comments and add a comment, this isn't the place to put the grade. This might be a place to ask them more questions. Okay, so once you're finished adding a comment, you can post. And again, if I refresh this, coming into this, maybe the next day I come in to look at what's happening in the blog, I can see the most recent entries, and I can see that there's a comment here that I could look at. Okay. Now, there could be some changes that we make, so let's just look at those. The subscribing, what that allows you to do is to get updates on this. It lets you check a box and get email notifications. I'm not recommending that, and the reason is it tells you you'll receive emails at most 1 per hour. I don't think that sounds very good. If it was 1 per day, I think that would be a good use. Now, I'd recommend that they consider adding that option, and then the subscribe feature might be more useful. But I think 1 per hour, it could get heated or something, or you could just have a due date, and every hour you're getting another email for 15 hours straight or something. The export choice lets you send the finished blog. It lets you take it offline. So if you were wanting just to take the work that students did, pull it offline, you could do that in a format that then it could be either posted somewhere, or you could just have it on your computer as possibly evidence of for promotion, tenure, considerations of work that you've done. Since Blackboard gets recycled every year and a quarter, you could actually keep this offline. Okay. The settings option is one we'll go through and do, but this is where you actually give the description, the title and the description. So we'll see, but this is the place where I could actually change that if I needed to update that information. Permissions one is a key one if you're thinking about not having a single blog for the whole class, but you're thinking about maybe having students blog in groups. Maybe there's clearly 4 groups of students in your course who could work together and read each other's blog posts and give each other feedback. That's a possible way to work this. And so I think it's a critical, we'll do it at this time to just show how this is set up, because I don't think, at least for me, this wasn't as intuitive as I needed it to be. Maybe it makes more sense to you when you look at this. But what you have viewers, authors, and owners of the blog. And by default, when you set up a new blog, you're telling it that the viewers are, and this is the name of this particular course, okay? So the viewers are everybody in the course. If I click on the authors are everyone in this course. So everyone can see it, everyone can create it, and the owners are whoever. This is kind of a grayed out thing. This isn't something that can be changed. But the owners are anyone who has an administrative role in this course. Okay? So anyone who's been an administrator in this course can have the overall ability to make setting changes for it. So if you had a student assistant working for you and they were in the course as a teaching assistant, they could actually make setting changes. But none of the students in the class could change membership options. So let's say we have a situation where we want everyone to see it because maybe we've decided to have 3 blogs on 3 topics, and each student is assigned to a different topic. So we're going to have a topic on topic A, a blog on topic A, a blog on topic B, and a blog on topic C. And you've split students up, so students are, there's a group of students working on one blog, or on one of each of these blogs. But everyone can see all of the information, okay? And so in order to make that modification, you would come in and you would click on the Authors tab, and then you would click down here where it's showing me who the authors were. And this is what wasn't really clear to me, was that this is something that I can click on. So, this is what, well, I've already selected it, so it's staying selected right now. But I don't want everyone in the class to be able to edit this, so I'm going to remove that. So right now, no one is the author, and now I'm going to add authors. So I'm going to look in our course. I'm going to click on this link here. It's going to show all the possible people, and so I'm going to just have it go down to the actual people whose names are in the class. And there were other people listed in this course besides the people that took the workshop before. So let's just say I want to have Erla and Susan. So I'm going to click on Susan's name and add her. I'm going to click on Erla's name and add her. And so you saw both of their names pop up here as being the authors of this blog. So if I save the changes right now, this is Erla and Susan's blog, and everyone else in the class can see what they're doing but can't change it. So to finish this off, I would click down here the Save button. That would save the work that I've done just right now. And then I could click the Finish button, and we would be back to the page. Now, there's one other option that's really valuable here that you might want to take advantage of, and that is it now allows, in this particular tool, that you could invite a person by email. So if you have a professional, if we're talking about foreign language, world languages, and you've got someone who's fluent in Spanish who could be participating in this conversation, it might help take your students to another level if you had that. One of the professors that I've worked with before at a conference, he was telling me that he, through the use of social networking tools like Twitter, he's been able to recruit about 100 mentors for class sizes of 20 students. And so he's got these professionals in his field, and he just says, hey, can you look at this work these students are doing and give them feedback? And people, as long as it's not, you're not asking them to do all the grading, but maybe on I'm asking these students to create one blog post where they've demonstrated fluency in Spanish, and I'm asking a friend to say, who has expertise in the field, to critique it from an outside perspective. And so you can actually invite a person by email. So we'll click Save down here. And then once it's saved, we'll be able to click Finish. And that will take us back to where we could make other modifications. Okay? The permissions one is probably the big one that I'd address. There are the ability to have widgets in the same way we talked about widgets in WordPress. There are little tools that you can add to your blog, but I don't really see in many cases where those are particularly necessary for this work. So I think you have the basics for setting up a blog. At the current time, well, we want to actually walk you through the process from the beginning. That was how we edited an existing blog. But if we're going to walk you through the process from the beginning, you need to be in a content area. And do you know how you can identify whether in Blackboard whether you're in a content area or not? You see these, one of these content areas, but you have the ability to call now a content area anything you want. So it could be called, it could be called documents, it could be called content, it could be called assignments. But the way you can tell that it's actually a content area is you see these 5 menus here. Okay? If you see those, then you know you're in a content area and you can add a blog to that space or a wiki. And so once you're in this, it seems logical that it would be under this collaborate choice. But since this is a third-party tool within Blackboard, it's under the More setting. So if you go under More and you add Campus Pack Blog, okay, they call it Learning Objects Campus Pack is what the name of the product is. So click on that. And then you're going to be creating a new blog. So you'll click Submit. And then it will come back and allow you to put in the title and description. So I'm just going to call mine Student Reflections. And descriptions, I'm going to say students will reflect weekly on their learning. And then I have the option of having it create a gradebook entry for me. Now for me, the way I use blogs is I would have them be blogging every week. And so it would, if I did that, it would create a single gradebook entry for me. And that's not going to work for the way I want to do it. If you were thinking, okay, I'm going to have them blog, and at the end I'm going to give them 1 grade for all the blogging they did during the term, then to use the gradebook entry here would be fine. Or if there was just 1 blog that they're working in, they do it for a single assignment and it's over, then checking the gradebook entry would be fine as well. But if you're looking for them to blog over the term, and each time they blog it's a separate grade, then this won't cover that. You would use the gradebook and you would just manually enter columns in for the grading. So I'm leaving the rest of that blank and I'm clicking Add. And this is where we started with that other one, whereas we started with a blog that had no entries. Now, the one other possibility on this is you're interested in a blog where students privately reflect. Okay? If you're thinking about that, I'm just going to quickly show you. If I go back to that content area and go back to more, currently the way this is being handled is they have what they call a journal. So if you want it to be where all the students are or multiple students are reflecting in the same blog, then you want to add a blog. If you're wanting each student to be privately reflecting, but you see them all in a single space, then you would add a journal. Okay, it works the exact same. You'll see the same settings. So I'm going to just say new here. And it'll look almost identical when we walk through the entire process. So I put in a setting, and I always use the word private as part of this. I'm just going to call mine private journal. And again, you can have the grade book if you want. If I click add there, it will take me to where I see now that this is for all students, but it's a private journal. And if I looked under the permissions for this one, we see that it only has authors and owners, so there aren't viewers. So if you set up a journal, you're making it private. We have one more place to go with this, and that's to show you how to create a wiki. And I've got an example of a wiki here, and if you go back to my course, there's one that's called Blogs and Wiki Workshop Wiki, which is a confusing name. But if you click on View for that, looks somewhat the same when you use it, but instead of adding a new entry, there's the ability to add a new page. And so you'd actually be building, pages in the wiki. And I think this is a good time to say that if you're going to use wikis in your course, you're definitely going to want to have some kind of training that you give to the students or provide to the students, because if you just leave it to them and they haven't used wikis before, they'll eventually get it, but there'll be some pain in the journey. They'll have some frustrations with it. So I would make sure that you do some training there. So with the wiki, right away, when we're in this, we've got the ability to add the new pages, and we can also then, once we're in it, we can edit the wiki, so that everyone who has rights to the wiki should be able to make changes to it. Okay? So the question is it better to use Blackboard for wikis and blogs, or should you use external tools? And I think the question that you can ask to help you answer that is there a reason why this wiki should be in a public space? Or is there a reason, so there's two questions, or is there a reason why this wiki should live on beyond the course? Okay? If at the end of the course I'm done with the wiki, the students are done with the wiki, and I have no need for them to interact with the world in general, anybody who's viewing it, then it can live inside of Blackboard. if you see, well, wow, it would be really helpful if these students had feedback from other people who found their wiki, or it'd be great if these students could keep working on this wiki project or have the ability to keep working on it after the course is over, then the public tool would be a better tool to use. When each time they create a new page, and if I add a new page, so let's say you know, this is topic 1. We've been given 3 topics we're supposed to cover. So this is like the idea of the positive aspects of a certain technology was the topic. I click continue on that. I'm to that page. I then can start adding to it like it's a web page. So I'm add content on this web page. So I'm coming up with all the positive attributes of this technology. When I save and exit, that then becomes a page in the wiki. And this is where I'm talking about students can get into trouble because they don't always see, they don't always understand it. So you might have told them, okay, each of your teams is going to create a wiki, and you need to tell me what are the positive aspects of this topic, what are the negative aspects of this topic, and then I want a summary. Well, each student might think they're supposed to create their own page for each of those. And so on your list, you end up with 9 pages. Well, maybe that's indeed what you wanted, but probably not. And so you'd want to have this ability to either you can go into each team's wiki and set it up for them. So you set up the pages and they're already done, and then you just tell them what to write on. Or you can just say at the beginning of your project, 1 person, create 3 pages. I think you also need to consider how much cooperative or collaborative work you want students to do. Because it's really easy to, it's much less complex to have a project where you can divide and conquer. You take this part of the project, you take this part of the project, you take this part of the project. The group project is putting the 3 together and giving each other feedback. That's much different than maybe more of a collaborative piece where none of us can complete a page without input from the others. And that's a possibility. So that gives you a general idea. Do you have the basic idea for the wiki? And so then you have this ability to, in the blogs, you could consistently see what was going on by looking through the blog post. There is an assessment piece in the wiki where if we click on that, we can see statistics. So we can see that right now, Erla and I have been editing things. And you need to know the assessment tool is there, but you also need to be very careful how you use it. Because right now it looks like you and I are doing all the work, but one of the other students in the class in our team meetings could have actually been the brains behind everything. They could have given you a Word document that you just copied and pasted in here, and you look like you're the worker. So that's another piece of this that needs to be made clear to the students. In your assessment of this wiki project, wiki-based project, are you looking at these statistics, and are you expecting students to enter and edit each other's work, or are you okay with one student being the technology person and doing most of the work in the wiki? My preference would be that this is a space where we can actually see how students are collaborating. We can see how they're editing each other's work. So if we make it clear in our assessment that we'll be looking at things like this and that we have expectations that everyone will be doing work together, then I think we end up with a better opportunity for this to work out for us in terms of it being a useful assessment tool.